Well, hello, friends and neighbors. John, your whiskey neighbor here, and welcome to my kitchen table. As I said last time we were together, I wanted to highlight a couple of Irish bottles heading into St. Patrick's Day, but time is almost running out. So I don't want to rush this, but I do want to get this to you now so I can get maybe one more review in that you can consider for St. Patrick's Day. This is the Sexton. It's a single malt Irish whiskey. We'll talk about it after the break. Thanks for staying with me. As I said very briefly, this is Irish whiskey. It is a new group. I believe they're not yet a distillery, or they're not distilling. We know it is a single malt, so this is 100% barley, which is actually unusual. Irish whiskey is known for single pot still, which would have malted and unmalted barley. But it's often blended, Irish whiskey is often blended with some grain whiskey. This is a single malt, so it's only barley. It's got a really unique looking bottle. I think that's probably what first drew my eye. It might draw yours when you go into a store. You see this kind of square looking, and then there's this skull person image on it. It certainly stands out. Can't see into it. Not really a big fan of bottles you can't see into. But it also has quite a bit of writing on here about selecting barley from Northern Ireland. It talks about that it's in ex-sherry right on here, so we know that it is 100% barley malt. It does also mention that it's triple distilled. It does say that it's aged in ex-sherry casks. It's bottled only at 40%. Doesn't clarify whether it's colored or chill filtered. At 40%, quite confident it is chill filtered. It is ex-sherry, so it might not be colored. But what I don't know is who puts this out. If you do a little bit of internet searching, which is all I've managed to do, so it's not a special insight, there's a significant thought that the Sexton single malt, is likely out of Bushmills. The reason for that is, I think Whiskey Jug was one site that thought, oh, this guy maybe is onto something. Talked about how Bushmills has been putting out a single malt ex-sherry cask Irish whiskey, and that's what this is, right? So, when they say Northern Ireland, Bushmills, of course, is up quite far in the north of Ireland. So it could be Bushmills, but I have absolutely no confirmation on that. All right, let's see what we get out of the whiskey. This nose definitely, if you've been drinking a little bit of whiskey in your journey and have come across whiskey that has aged or rested in ex-sherry, I think you'll pick that up on the nose. This is definitely fruity, red fruits, raisins. For me, it's a little bit flowery, and when I say that, it's a bit light, but also on that edge of not artificial, but close. You know, when a smell is quite present. But if you stay in it, you can get even at a bit of a. What is that? Like a spicing, like a Christmas spices. So I think the nose is quite nice. Now, I'm going to make comment on that later. But right now, this bottle's been open for at least a month. No, it's been open for 2. Coming back after Christmas, I guess. And right now, very fruity, floral, expressive nose, a bit of malt, honey, spicing, a little bit of other scents that kind of come up. Yeah, a little perfumey. All right, let's see how it tastes. Cheers. Sláinte. I think the palate really carries that along. I would definitely add more of the spicing comes up, a little bit of cinnamons, but some baking spices and some sugaring to the malt. So when you get that malt character, you add some sweetness, some butter tart to it a little bit. Definitely some dried fruits, some of that, ex-sherry is just present. But I get a little bit of wood in there, some oak. But it's triple distilled, 40%. It's a reasonably gentle whiskey, and I think it would be an easy one to share at a St. Patrick's Day party where people are willing to try whiskey if they haven't had a lot of whiskey. It holds fairly close to Irish, I was going to say Irish tradition, that's not entirely sure, but a lot of Irish whiskeys tend to be fairly light and relaxed in the palate, kind of honeyed, light fruits. This actually adds a little bit of depth. The malty character to me is a little more deep. And the sherry is quite prominent. So there's more flavor going on here than I would say your entrance level Jameson, Tullamore, those kind of fine whiskeys, but very, very just kind of sweet, light, and gone. This definitely adds a whole nother dimension with the sherry. When I started this, when I opened it up, the nose was a little too prominent in the fruit notes and the sherry notes for me to really enjoy. Thankfully, now that it's been open for a couple of months, it's backed off enough that I can enjoy it and see it as a highlight or a unique character to this Irish single malt whiskey. I'd recommend checking it out, especially if you like sherry. If you don't like sherry, actually, I would avoid it. I think it's really going to play to those notes. But it is certainly more interesting than your entrance level Irish, and yet it's still reasonably affordable. With a cool character bottle, I could definitely recommend this. For me, it's just above 3.5 stars. I don't want to kick it into 4, but it's somewhere just playing almost in that realm. But for me, it's just a little bit shy of 4 stars. You guys have a great St. Patrick's Day.